Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley. Hope you're doing well. So as you can see by the title of today's video, we are finally continuing the Halloween franchise with Halloween Kills 2021, directed by David Gordon Green, the second installment of the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy. You know, I feel like I kind of have to give a little disclaimer before we get started with today's video, and I'm gonna give one before Halloween ends as well whenever we get to that. Just because you don't like a film, just because the general consensus may be more negative about that film, just because you disagree, doesn't mean you're allowed to be an I am very outspoken about my love for this franchise and for the Blumhouse trilogy in particular. I don't think they're perfect, but I still love them. And just because of the overwhelming negative fan reactions to Kills and especially Ends kind of made me not even want to do commentaries for these two films or even like say my thoughts at all. I'll just say it's fine if you don't like it. You don't have to comment. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I really want my commentaries for Kills and Ends to be a celebration of this franchise because that's the end of it. I mean, at least for now anyway. So yeah, if you choose to comment, please be nice. If a comment is not nice, don't be surprised if it never even shows up on this video because I manually approve all comments now anyway, so it's not getting by me. And I have absolutely no problem deleting and blocking. It's my channel. Sucks that I even have to be saying that, but literally anytime anyone says anything about Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends that's like positive, it gets really ugly and mean. And I mean, you're not gonna hurt me, but be nice to others in the comments. I've seen the hate that people get when they say they like the Blumhouse Halloween films, so that's not allowed here. There's plenty of other videos here on YouTube of people absolutely trashing the Blumhouse Halloween films. Go comment on one of those videos. Anyways, Halloween Kills. I kind of want to shut up and not talk anymore in this intro because I just want to watch the film already. So yeah, let's get into Halloween Kills. This opening score is so good. This is easily my favorite soundtrack of the Blumhouse trilogy. I mean, they're all incredible, of course, but this one has Unkillable. So that kind of says it all.
Okay.
I'm so glad Hawkins survives. Oh my god, this flashback scene. Look at him. He looks so good. Yeah, they did such a great job with this 78 flashback scene. And I'm sure it couldn't be easy to recapture that feeling that the 78 Halloween had, but I really genuinely think they did an amazing job.
I used to know the guy. Michael, we were kids. Yeah.
So basically we're just rewinding back to 78 to kind of explain how Hawkins was like connected to Michael and, you know, the events of 78 and everything that happens in regards to him because it is pretty traumatic.
He's gonna get you, Lonnie. He's gonna get you.
Ugh, the Mulaney's. Lonnie.
Get your ass away from there.
That score is so good.
You didn't see him?
Take a deep breath. Who?
The boogeyman. Could have done without the eye contact on that one. Kind of adds some cheesiness to it, but as we find out, this one does kind of have a little camp to it, so, which I love. So, and this is the extended cut, by the way, in case you haven't noticed yet. Gosh, like flashback to summer 2020, the news hit from John Carpenter that this film was going to be delayed like a year. Just that overwhelming, excruciating disappointment for me anyway. Like I was already kind of depressed in that moment of my life, and then this happened. Like I get news that my most anticipated movie of the year is going to be delayed. Was not good for me at all.
There's a dead dog in here. What? Nothing.
Damn it, Michael. He got hungry.
Haddonfield, where nothing exciting ever happened.
Such a good jump scare right there. I can't get over the mask. The mask looks so damn good. Ugh, dude. The way Michael just walks away, just the confidence. Like, you're not gonna hit me, bitch. I aspire for that level of confidence. Oof, that is pretty bad. The effects here are almost too realistic for me. But yeah, the trauma.
Officer Hawkins, tell me, what happened in here? Did Michael kill? Did Michael kill again?
Jeez. I mean, okay, the voice is a little off, but damn, like the makeup, the rest of the look, they really hit it out of the park. Like when I found out that wasn't just CGI, my mind was blown. Like incredible. Of course, there could only be one Donald Pleasance though. Look at that shot. Damn. You guys will barely hear any of this because, you know, copyright, but you know. Yeah, hands down my favorite opening sequence in the Blumhouse trilogy. My favorite theme. Those pumpkins with the fire. It's just so beautiful. I'm obsessed. I'm just obsessed. I was obsessed the moment I first saw it, and I'm still obsessed now, and I probably will always be obsessed. I love this whole thing here. This whole reintroduction to past characters, legacy characters.
40 years ago, a madman escaped from a mental hospital.
Good old Tommy here, putting a damper on everyone's evening. Like, we live in Haddonfield, we know about the boogeyman. We just want to get drunk and forget about it on Halloween night. Like, let us have that. Little do they know.
Lovely Miss Lindsay Wallace, her babysitter, Annie Brackett, was executed that night.
Yeah, I could do without the whole like showing scenes from the original to show like who these characters are. I don't love when films do that, but I also understand why it is doing that. You know, for the casual fans who may not remember the original or who these people are. The diehard fans, of course, don't need the reminder. Like, we know who they are. But yeah, just never loved the use of the clips from the original.
But the boogeyman is coming for me. And he's coming for you.
Certainly not I.
Okay, weirdo. So now we're right back to where we left off in 2018. Let it burn, baby. Iconic. Iconic. I mean, talk about iconic. This whole sequence of Michael just completely annihilating the entire fire department here in a second. And then that shot of him coming out of the house on fire. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Oh, shit. I mean, just the brutality of Michael in this film, it's just beyond anything that's ever been done before. Well, okay, we kind of got that brutal Michael like in Curse of Michael Myers, you know, theatrical cut, not producer's cut. When he's massacring everybody in the operating room and you got like the strobe light effect going on. This is like that times 10, in my opinion. Like the huge smile on my face when this happened in the theater. Look at him. Just look at him. Like, why are horror movie villains my superheroes in a weird way? Like, I was never into superhero films. Like, you couldn't get me to watch those. Those bore me to tears. Like, these guys were my superheroes. Michael, Jason, Freddy. Let's maybe not dissect that. Okay. Just look at this. It's incredible. I wish they hadn't shown so much of this in that like original trailer, because I think it would have been really cool to just be like surprised at this. Yeah, just the silhouette of Michael and the fire actually gives me goosebumps how amazing it is. But yeah, Michael Myers with fire. I've said it before, I've said it again. Iconic.
Hey, Queen.
Blu-ray.
And there's Sheriff Brackett, Charles Cyphers, another legacy character. It was great to see him again, at least I thought. Anyway, I seem to be in the minority when it comes to that and the legacy characters in this film. And I'll just address that now, I guess, get it out of the way. I've heard a lot of complaints from people saying like, okay, the return of the legacy characters is purely just fan service, you know, just kind of repeating old dialogue, not really bringing anything new or like substantial to this film, just kind of being there. I don't think they were brought back just for fan service. I mean, maybe a little bit, and I think that was definitely part of it, but I don't think that was all of it. But even if that was all of it, that doesn't even bother me because I'm just here to have a good time. I just want to see Michael murder tons of people, and you know what? That's what this film is. but there are just some people that just went into this wanting it to fail so badly and like wanting to hate it so badly, and guess what? You do. Like, are you surprised with that attitude? Anyways, I don't want to be too mean to the fandom in this video. I'll save that for my Halloween Ends commentary because I have some things to say. To be continued. I like this little moment here of Karen grieving her husband. I mean, you know, kind of getting caught up on everything that happened in 2018. She did lose her husband. You know, Allison lost her dad. I mean, Ray was useless anyway, but I just seem to hear a lot of criticism that this film or these characters just kind of move on and forget about it really quickly. I mean, like, what do you want? The film isn't about that. And there's clearly still a threat of Michael out there. So that little scene of Karen crying, and even the scene coming up with Karen and Allison, or even Allison in the car later when Lonnie tells a story about her dad and she starts crying. Like, that's enough. That's enough grieving. Like, what else do you want? Don't answer that. It doesn't really matter. People who hate this absolutely hate it, and nothing else really matters to them. And of course, that's the lady from 2018, the cemetery caretaker lady.
How about you and I snack on some Cheez-Its and try a little Beaujolais Nouveau?
Sounds good, honestly. This scene is brutal. Unnecessarily brutal. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm here for it, but it is mean. Oh, the head trauma. And I know a lot of people were like, why didn't she just run? Well, she clearly wouldn't have been able to fight him off with just a knife. And there is a door right there. I just think that at this point, she just kind of accepts her death, like she just saw her husband get murdered. She could also just be paralyzed with fear, maybe kind of oddly entranced by Michael's presence. I don't know, but she doesn't even die anyway, so. Gosh, I wish that wasn't in the trailer. That is insanely brutal. Ooh, that sound design is good. Now this is mean. It's just so creepy and disturbing, her sitting there and watching this. And also just the fact that Michael is repeatedly stabbing this man like a pincushion. Like, it's just so unnecessarily brutal, but extremely compelling to watch. I just love this whole sequence. It tells us no one is safe on this night in Haddonfield. This is Michael's night. And I love the score here too, but what else is new?
Oh my gosh.
Tommy Love.
Ooh, I want some zesty popcorn.
Of the local Smiths Grove State Hospital unaccounted for after yesterday's transport bus escape.
So this is where all the citizens first start to get riled up, especially Tommy. I'm not going to talk too much about Tommy Doyle, but I do want to talk about him a little bit. I remember when it was announced that Anthony Michael Hall was going to be playing Tommy in Kills, and I was so excited and intrigued because I am a fan of him. I mean, it would have been incredible if they had gotten Paul Rudd, but it also wouldn't really have made sense because of the timeline. Like, it would have meant him playing the same character in two different timelines, and I could imagine that confusing a lot of people. But yeah, say what you want about Tommy Doyle and the stupidity of this character and the dumb choices that he makes. I think Anthony Michael Hall is great in this. He was given the material and he did the best that he could with that material. Tommy is without a doubt a very flawed character, and that seems to annoy a lot of people, especially later with the whole evil dies tonight, yada yada yada. We know. Personally, I'm not watching this film or any horror film for the characters to make like smart choices. I don't care. Like I said earlier, I just want to have a good time. But yeah, I didn't want to rant about Tommy Doyle for too long. I understand the criticisms of this character. I'm just not as bothered by them as many other people seem to be. Like, it doesn't ruin the film for me, if that makes sense. Just had to say that. Yeah, that's not Michael. Michael's not an opera guy. I see Michael as much more of a post-punk guy, you know, like Christian Death or something like that, or like a 90s grunge guy, like Alice in Chains, early Stone Temple Pilots. Not the BMW. That always gets a chuckle out of me, I don't know why. But yeah, we find out the other escaped mental patient is still in the picture, and I'll discuss that whole subplot when we get to it. Me though, listen, I personally love Big John and Little John. I know there was a lot of criticism in regards to these characters and how they were represented. I can't speak to that personally. I can just say that I really enjoyed them and didn't have an issue with them. I think they're just like the right amount of comic relief. If you saw my 2018 commentary, you know I was pretty hard on that film when it came to the humor. I just did not want any comedy in the 2018 film. Now, Kills is different, and I can't fully explain why. The little bits of comedy just don't bother me as much. There's something kind of more 80s about it, kind of more camp about it. It's kind of charming, and I don't know if that makes sense completely. I'm just trying to explain myself the best I can, but it's not really working out because I can never do that. Basically, I just really like Little John and Big John, and I think they work within the film. Something else I want to quickly discuss, which is the criticism that there's not enough Laurie in this film, which, yeah, there's not a lot of Laurie in this film. She is in the hospital bed for the majority of the film. That is correct. This isn't Laurie's film. This is Michael Myers' film. And it's just as simple as that. Would I have liked more Laurie? Of course I love Laurie. This wasn't her film. 2018 was Laurie's film. This is Michael's. Just wanted to point that out.
Shot him in the face, burned him alive so he can't hurt anyone ever again.
Michael Myers is alive.
What?
Iconic. I love Allison.
We're going after him. Me, my dad, you. If you want to come, we're joining Tommy Doyle.
You see, I like how Cameron is trying to redeem himself a little bit. You know, after being such a dick in the 2018 film. Doesn't end well for him, but he tries. And same thing with Karen. Also does not end well for her, but we'll talk about that later.
I need some good people. People aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Everybody else needs to go home.
This almost kind of gives me like Halloween 4 vibes, you know? With the people of the town taking things into their own hands. You know, Earl and the boys going to hunt Michael, just completely murdering good old Ted Hollister. I like that aspect of this.
What's going on over there?
Baby, who is that?
Looks like kids.
Now, this right here is one of the best sequences in the entire film. I love this part right here.
Shoot him, Marion!
Hey, Michael! This is for Dr. Loomis.
What a shame. Oof. But I feel so bad for her though. Yeah, like the character of Marion, killed by Michael twice in 2 different timelines. You know what, take it back, that's the goal right there. Just the collective gasp that happened in the theater when that scene happened. So good. And another shout out to Christopher Nelson with the incredible effects. Now this stuff, not the biggest fan of. Like, I just remember it kind of got like a chuckle out of our audience, and it seems to make a lot of people laugh. I don't find it funny whatsoever. It's just ridiculous in a way that I don't think works for this scene. That's all. I love how Kyle Richards gets to fight back a little bit, because after this she's not really around too much in this or in Ends. Like, she's barely in Ends at all, so this was kind of like the height of her return. I know I'm always talking about how great the score is, which it is, but you know what's also just really underrated? These shots of Michael here with no background music at all, like no score or anything, just silence, but like you still hear him breathing. It's very reminiscent of the original 78 with those like POV shots. This isn't a POV shot, but it does kind of remind me of those OG moments where it just feels like Michael is so close to us as the audience, and then there's this foreboding silence. I don't know, I might be the only one who even notices little stuff like that, but I just wanted to point out because I don't hear a lot of people mention it, and I just think it's a really underrated touch.
Do you remember that night?
At the bar?
I love this little interaction between Laurie and Hawkins. I know a lot of people complain about it. Well, a lot of people complain about this whole damn movie, but whatever. I love this. It's just a sweet little interaction between these two characters. Explains a little bit more of the backstory between them. It feels very genuine and tender, and just a slight moment of levity within the story, you know. Calm before the storm.
I was telling my wife that my daughter was killed, so I wasn't there to put a bullet in his brain.
Shout out to Annie. Oh.
Hospital's on lockdown.
Listen, folks, please. The boogeyman is at large.
So this is where things start getting a little out of hand. The beginning of the whole mob mentality subplot, which I know everybody hates. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but again, I don't hate it to the point where I can't enjoy the film. Like, I don't have to skip over this part or anything like that. I do still find it very entertaining.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
All right, everybody, calm down.
Okay, well, that line delivery I wasn't a huge fan of, but I digress.
Listen, I just want you to know, when he gets here, I'm gonna kill him. Because 40 years ago, when I was a kid, you protected me. So tonight, I'm gonna protect you.
Another interaction, I love this like brief interaction between Tommy and Laurie. This is the first time we're seeing these two characters interact since '78. Obviously, like, it explains that they have interacted since then, but we haven't seen that. We haven't seen them interact since, you know, Laurie was a teenager and Tommy was just a little kid. And as such a big fan of the '78 Halloween, it's just really nice to see that. I mean, Tommy screws it all up here in a bit, but it's still nice to see.
Someone's in our house, and it's not a child.
I love his reaction to this. And then the tiny knife.
I got this knife.
His face. Like, he really thought that maybe he had a chance. Poor thing. Not this. Honestly, what they did with the Myers house, stunning. That emerald green, wow. I'm sure Michael even took a second when he first stepped in. After all those years, looked around, like, wow, this is nice. Getting stabbed in the armpit. Damn, like, this is probably the most brutal kill of the entire film. Is it my favorite kill? What is my favorite kill? You know what? I think it is. I think the second one is the knife to the eyeball. I think that one used to be my favorite, but watching this again, I think eyeball kill comes out on top. Stab through the eye in the car is second. And Cameron's death later is something else too, but yeah.
It's all happening. Michael's masterpiece.
I love that line. And here we find out just how much guilt Hawkins still has over that night in '78.
I could have made all this go away.
But I mean, come on. I like to think Loomis popped Michael right between the eyes anyway, like, no matter what.
It's not you. I know it's not you. I'm not gonna let them hurt you.
She's very trusting of this man here. Like, couldn't he be extremely dangerous? Like, he was locked up with Michael at the institution. I know that doesn't automatically mean that he's just as dangerous as Michael. I mean, obviously he doesn't seem to be, so. Seems actually pretty hard to watch. Well, jeez, chunky, very chunky.
Not him, Tommy. He's always worn a mask. How do we know it's not him?
Pete went for his gun. As he pulled it up, it went off.
Also, I didn't mention it earlier, but I do really like this actor, Thomas Mann, who plays young Hawkins. I recognized him immediately from this film that I used to love back in the day. It's called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Really cute movie. But it was really nice to see him here, part of the Halloween franchise.
Now I'm going in alone.
What? Dad, no.
Mr. Elon with all...
I mean, I knew as soon as Lonnie said he was going into the Myers house alone, there wasn't any doubt in my mind that he was f***ing dead. Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Cameron, let's go.
Come on.
That was so fast. That was like barely 10 seconds. Okay, but like, what if that was Lonnie who was just hiding? She just blows him away. That would have been a dark twist. The audacity of Michael Myers. Like, not only to put on the record, but to pose the bodies reminiscent to how they're posed in the photograph. Just another reason why Michael's like one of my favorites. He's an enigma. Yeah, this scene is amazing. Like, the next 3 minutes of this movie, incredible. Sorry, Cameron. Hell yeah. I would simply pass away. Okay, now I am a little embarrassed to admit, it took me like several viewings of this before I could actually watch Cameron's death without wanting to puke. There's just something so disturbing about this death. I know I've always been a little bit more sensitive to like head trauma. Now this isn't quite that, but it is just as hard for me to watch. Unkillable. Best track on this soundtrack and my #1 most played song on Spotify in 2021. And I'm not kidding. No. Well, if Michael hadn't have finished him off, he would have been paralyzed for life, so...
Do it.
Do it. Should have kept going with the pitchfork instead of stepping on him with your tiny ass foot, Karen. But I know her plan here is to not actually kill Michael, but to lure him to Tommy and the rest of the folks there, so... Ooh, that look that Michael gives right there, so disturbing and like underrated creepy. But yeah, I remember watching this scene and being like, stop, this isn't fair. But just knowing deep in my heart that it wasn't going to end well for any of these people. So in that case, it's like, all right, let's let him get a few licks in. Yeah, that's not gonna do anything.
The more he kills, the more he transcends into something else.
And this whole monologue by Laurie here, I absolutely love it. And everything she says makes sense up until this point. I will talk more about this speech and, you know, in regards to Michael being supernatural in my Halloween Ends commentary and, you know, the whole controversy about that, because I do think it's very interesting and I do understand the confusion around that, because this all makes sense, but it makes a little less sense when we get to Halloween Ends. I really do want to talk about it because I do have my own thoughts and theories about it, but I'm going to save that for my Halloween Ends commentary. Well, damn. Yeah, I remember first watching this and thinking, is this a dream? Like, is this in Laurie's head? Is she imagining this while she's giving her monologue? I was just slightly thrown off just by how it looks, by how the sequence looks and how it's shot. Later, of course, I found out they had to shoot it this way. Michael kind of spinning her around on this stage, kind of just slashing at everybody. And it just looks kind of dreamlike and unrealistic because of that. Tommy. Tommy's death is actually underrated in my opinion. I mean, when you look at it with the 78 Halloween in mind, you know, Tommy being so frightened of the boogeyman as a kid, Michael stalking him as a little boy, and then here so many years later, him finally coming face to face with the boogeyman, and the boogeyman finally conquering him. And just the way that it's shot with them like looking at each other and that dead silence, it's as if Tommy just instantly transports back into being 8 years old again. It's just underrated and disturbing and actually quite haunting when you see it through that lens. Yeah, Tommy's death is a lot more gruesome in the extended cut. And then this. Yeah, I also remember thinking, this has to be in Laurie's imagination. Can't be real. Michael picked up the phone I love that callback. Still a badass. Bravo. Okay, guys, that was Halloween Kills. I f***ing loved it. Sorry, but yeah, I'm not sorry. But yeah, in regards to that ending, I do remember walking away being like, was that a dream? Like, was Lori imagining that happening? And I only question it just because of how Karen's death was shot, like with the quick cuts and you never really see any knife penetration. Like, it just kind of felt weird and a little tame. Of course, found out later it wasn't a dream at all and it was just kind of an homage to Janet Leigh's death in Psycho. But yeah, R.I.P. Karen. This film was 100% Michael's film. The absolute bloodbath in this film, the amount of people Michael just completely slaughters. Incredible. When you just want to watch Michael F up as many people as possible, this is the film you put on, because he is relentless, brutal, and unkillable in this one. And like the film or hate it, you cannot deny that. Michael's a damn badass. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching Halloween Kills with me today. Halloween is approaching us. This is when us horror fans thrive, so let's enjoy it. Thank you guys again. Have a good one.